Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today in front of me I have two Final Fantasy VIII action figures from the Play Art series. To our left we have Squall, the main character, and to our right we have Rinoa. I'm very excited to have these in front of me today because I've had my eye on these for quite some time now. Recently I was able to find a seller on Mercari who was selling both of them, and I was able to get my hands on them for $100 each. The boxes here are in pretty good conditions except for a few things. Right here on Rinoa's box there is some scratches, and right here on Squall's box there is a little stain, but it doesn't matter to me too much. We have a front view of the box, right side view of the box, back side view of the box, and a right side view of the box. As you can see on the back of the box, the original price tag is still there. Crazy that I paid triple this price tag just to get it nowadays. But first we're gonna focus on the main man Squall here. Alright, so we got Squall out the box here. As you can see, there's been some serious deteriorating on the plastic here. It's got some yellowing, but it seems to me that the figure is still in good condition. Alright, so here we have Squall outside the box. He comes with two extra hands designed for holding his Gunblade, his Gunblade accessory, and a display stand. Okay, so here we have Squall in hand, and right off the bat he feels pretty good. He's made out of this really hard plastic, so not too worried about any breaking. His jacket here is soft, kind of rubber. So are his belt accessories, and the fur on his jacket is actually kind of a hard plastic, similar to his hair. So we take a look at some of the detailings here. You can see that his hair comes with these nice little light brown gold highlights. There is some blemishing here on the left side of his face, on his chin and kind of down his neck. He comes with his Griever necklace here, which is really nice. The chain is just a small little metal chain, but the emblem itself, the Griever emblem, is plastic. His belt accessories here, nice little rubber, good details. They are attached to his main belt to the side here so they don't move too far. Straps here on his right leg are kind of implemented into the leg, so it's not like a rubber feeling, it's hard plastic. And then he's got like these he's got like these Doc Martens on. It looks like he's kind of wearing like work shoes, not like the boots, you know, you would imagine. They kind of look like dishwasher shoes kind of, except with the little Doc Marten buckles here. And yeah, the fur here kind of has some dark gray highlights in it. And yeah, overall, like, I'm very happy with the way he looks. Alright, so the articulation, it's pretty much what you'd expect from a really old figure that costs $30. It's not the greatest. It could be worse though. So if we start off from the head. The head is probably the best part. You know, it can go 360, it could go up, it could go down. Pretty much do everything you need it to do. One of the bigger problems with this figure though comes with his arms. So we look at his arms. His wingspan is actually not bad, you know. This is about as far as it will go before you risk breaking anything. You could twist his arm here, so you know you can get 360 twist on that. And his elbow goes about that, at like a 90-degree angle at most. And his fist only can turn 360. It can't rotate in any other direction. So when it comes to holding the Gunblade, it becomes very limited. Same thing with the other arm. His legs are actually pretty good. You could get his legs to go pretty high up, get him in a sitting position. His ankles are really good, 360 up and down. They'll do what you need them to do. So yeah, my biggest problem again just comes down to the arms. I wish they were a little bit more flexible, more dynamic, but from a figure so old and as cheap as it was, you really can't expect that much. Alright, so let's take a look at his Gunblade accessory. The main reason why most people get into Final Fantasy VIII is this right here. And with the way it looks, I'm very happy. The etching of Griever here is very detailed on both sides. It's made of a hard plastic, similar to Squall, so not too worried about it breaking, but I'm not going to try pushing its limits. I was actually trying to play with this Gunblade earlier, trying to pose Squall with it, and as I was doing that, unfortunately, the chain that was connecting the Griever emblem to the blade broke. So I don't know if it's just the chain being really cheap, or you know, over time it just became shitty. I don't know. But what I'm gonna do actually is I'm just gonna replace the chain myself with, you know, an extra chain I might have. Alright, so here you can see I changed the chain. So I was able to find a chain that was the same color, but unfortunately the jump rings that I had weren't exactly as small as the ones that came with it. So it does kind of look a little wonky, especially with the jump ring being the same size as the emblem. But from afar, it's not really like it. I'm not complaining about this. It's fine. Alright, so now let's try getting the Gunblade on Squall. So changing the hands, pretty tight in there. Alright, there we go. So again, just a 360 turn on the hands, the wrist right there. Now as you can see, there is a ridge here on the Gunblade for it to fit perfectly into his hands. There we go. So that way his finger is just right behind the trigger, you know. Squall doesn't like to keep his finger on the trigger. He's a professional soldier. And yeah, there we go. There's Squall in his Gunblade. So like I was saying before, the limited movement with his arms prevents you from allowing him to do his iconic pose with the Gunblade behind his back. And with the way his hand is angled too, and you can't really turn it, you can't get the Gunblade down his arm like, you know, like you wish you would, which really sucks. That's probably my biggest gripe about this figure as a whole, that you can't do that. And with the way his hand is built too, it's hard for him to like point the Gunblade at anyone or anything. So you really only have a few options with how you could pose him with his weapon here. But it's okay. There's no harm in trying to be creative. Alright, now let's take a look at this stand here. So here's the base, clear black plastic here. And this is actually pretty interesting. I've never seen a stand like this. As you can see through the light, there's kind of like ridges in there. And this metal was shaped to be caught by those ridges. So you can like adjust how you want that. And you just attach it here. And this metal can open up like that. So you can actually hug it around Squall's torso, and yeah, you can get him posed up like that. He doesn't really need it. He can stand pretty good on his own, and you can't really move this stand like anywhere else. So it's not good for any like aerial poses because he would just fall like that due to gravity. So yeah, like I don't know. I guess it's nice to have, you know, for assurance, you know, just in case like you knock into it or something, the figure won't fall. But yeah, he has no problem without it. It's not needed. Alright, so moving Squall aside here, let us jump into Rinoa here. This I'm very excited about because, you know, there is fairly more Squall stuff than there is Rinoa, especially to a level like this. So getting my hands on this was definitely very exciting. Alright, again, same as Squall, a lot of yellowing on the plastic here. So yeah, here we go. We have Rinoa outside her box. She comes with 2 extra hands, 1 for each arm. For her right arm, she has her pointing finger to hit her iconic pose. On her left arm, we have just like a closed fist. And she also comes with a display stand. Alright, so here we have Rinoa in hand. And right off the bat, you can tell that she is a lot skinnier than Squall is, in both the arms and the body and the legs and everything. The plastic on her skin, it feels a lot different than, you know, the plastic on Squall's jacket there on his arms. Squall's arms are a lot thicker and a harder plastic. This, it feels not exactly fragile, but I wouldn't really mess with it that much. So her coat, her jacket, her dress, whatever you want to call it here, it is made of the same rubbery material that Squall's jacket is. And both her arm braces and her jacket are kind of like texturized, which is a nice feeling. It gives the impression that it's knitted or ribbed, which I really like. So let's take a look at the details here. So as you can see in Rinoa's hair, she has her beautiful brown strips that are prevalent in the game, unlike Squall's highlights that were shown before on the other action figure. These are on purpose. I'm not too sure the story behind that. Maybe she got like a box dye kit, you know, whatever she was doing. The back of her hair, a bit of black, like glossy lines. I'm not too sure if that was in the game or not, but this brown definitely is. Her eyes are very nicely painted, so same as Squall I didn't point out before. Her face is pretty pale, but there is some blemishing here on her chest, if you can see it right there. Now similar to Squall, she does wear a necklace, chain necklace. There are 2 rings, which I love that detail. The first ring, I believe, is from her mother. You can see it in the beginning of the game. And near the end of the game, Squall gives her his Griever ring, which you could see in some of the final cutscenes. So here we have both the rings, which I really like. You could see that her torso here, this black little shirt, tank top, whatever she's got on. That's a tank top, you can see. It's fully sculpted under this dress. On her left arm here we have a little plastic band. This is very beautiful. It's nicely done. You can see these little button details on her dress right here I really like. If we take a look at her skirt here, I'm a really big fan of this. I love the way this color turned out. It looks like a lazuli color. I'm a very big fan of that. And if we take a look at her shorts, maybe it's like a one piece to like her shirt. I'm not too sure about that, but if you look at them here, they are very nicely done with these zippers. I'm a really big fan of how these zippers pop out like that. And then if we take a look at her legs, nothing too much going on here. And her boots, now these are kind of similar to what I thought Squall would be wearing, you know, underneath his pants. I thought they'd be like high top boots, but I don't know. But yeah, we can see here Rinoa's rocking them, kind of like army combat boots. I really like those. Nice little details going on everywhere. And finally, on the back of Rinoa, we have her wings, of course. We gotta have those. Now, articulation here, her head, you can tell it will go 360. You can see right here that it will do the full 360. It will kind of look down, kind of look up, not too much. Her arms here have way better movement than Squall's do. Her can go all the way up here. She can make a little Y. Her wingspan is far greater. She doesn't have anything right here to block her arms, unlike Squall does. Her elbows here, we can turn them 360. Same thing. Her elbow about a 90-degree angle like that. And her wrist, full 360 motion, just like Squall, both arms. Now if we take a look at her legs here, this is where things become a little bit more limited. Just like Squall, his arms were limited, but his legs were a little freer. It's kind of the opposite for Rinoa here. Her legs don't go that far up due to her little skirt here. It's kind of blocking that from doing much. Her knees, on the other hand, about the same as Squall's. They will go far, but not the furthest. Her boots here can turn 360, the ankles up and down. Overall, articulation, pretty good, about equal to Squall's. It does have its pros, it has its cons. Now, if we take a look at her other accessories here, her 2 accessories, her hands, unfortunately she doesn't come with anything else but these hands here. It would have been nice to see like Angelo or maybe like her weapon, but unfortunately, this is all we get right here, is these 2 hands, her iconic little pointing pose that she does when she points up to the sky on her girly shit, and her little protruded fist here, which I kind of quite like. It gives off a very like cutesy vibe, which she definitely is meant to give off. Now, I will say right off the bat, it is just a little bit harder to stand her compared to Squall. It's a little bit because her legs are a lot skinnier and they have a little bit more to like lift up, like this dress and whatnot. So she does benefit from the stand a little bit more, which I can see why you would want that with her. But yeah, overall, Rinoa, I'm really loving the details. I love the way this figure looks. The articulation's not too bad, and I believe that it complements Squall perfectly, you know, of course. Now, if you are a big Rinoa fan, you know, just solely Rinoa, it definitely is a nice figure to have on its own, but having both is it definitely has its benefits. Oh, you can see that she fell there. Yeah, it is, like I said, it's a little difficult with the legs we're given, but speaking of the stand here, it's the same exact thing that we got for Squall. You know, the same ridges, the same metal, whatever. Alright, so when it comes to putting this stand on Rinoa, it is a little kind of weird since her dress is kind of in the way. Alright, so I'm honestly kind of having problems getting this fucking stand on her because it's not really opening properly, and it kind of seems like her little skirt here. Oh wow. Okay, so if we look at Rinoa here, she kind of has some ass back there, so it's kind of getting in the way of me opening this fucking, I'm just gonna say, fuck the stand and just stand her on her own. Alright, so that's gonna wrap up today's review. Here you can see I have them standing side by side. Pretty size accurate. I'm loving the way they look together. These two are very solid figures. I do not regret buying them for the price I did. I do wish I had gotten them cheaper or earlier, but you know, you can't be born a fan. You gotta become one when you're hella late to the trend. I'm super excited about having these two in my collection. I was able to get a lot of good shots and poses with them. I'm excited to change it up. I'm a big Final Fantasy VIII fan, so just having this is just awesome. So Final Fantasy VIII is definitely my favorite Final Fantasy game and probably one of my favorite video games ever. So having these two makes my collection a whole lot better. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. Stay caught up with the future content to come. Thank you to anyone who's watching, and I'll see you guys later.